Welcome back, everybody. It's Dr. Craig Malkin. I'm a clinical psychologist and lecturer for Harvard Medical School. I'm also the author of Rethinking Narcissism, which is devoted to help you understand and cope with narcissism in all its forms in all your relationships. Today, I want to talk about whether or not people who are extremely narcissistic know they're extremely narcissistic. This is a question that people ask all the time. Do narcissists know they're narcissists? And the answer is a lot of times yes. And it has different implications depending on the type of narcissism. So there's a measure of narcissism actually called the single item narcissism scale. And it's a really simple measure. It just asks people to what extent do they agree with the statement on a scale of 1 to 7, I am a narcissist. And then in parentheses, it says narcissist means egotistical, self-focused, and vain. And it turns out that this single item narcissism scale, which is essentially asking people whether or not they're willing to admit they're narcissistic, does a pretty good job of correlating with all of the most common traits, characteristics, behavior patterns that you see in somebody who is extremely narcissistic. And strangely, this measure, the single item narcissism scale, actually even relates to covert or vulnerable narcissism. I don't think as strongly looking at the patterns as it relates to outgoing, charismatic, loud narcissism. Remember, covert narcissism, people are quiet, shy. And I think what's going on there is that it captures two types of people who are extremely narcissistic. In one category, you have people, and this is the point that I would want to emphasize, you have people who are agreeing with that statement, saying yes, who actually see vain, egotistical, and self-focused as positive things. So those are the types of narcissists. I think it correlates really strongly with that extroverted, outgoing, people who endorse feeling proud and strong, all of those things. That's the overt narcissistic presentation, that type of narcissism. The sins really correlates very strongly with that. And what we know about overt narcissists are that they are very comfortable with a lot of their more negative qualities. I mean, this is a well-established fact that if somebody tends to be more of that loud, brash, chest-thumping variety of narcissism, they don't see it as a problem. It's something called egosyntonic. Whereas somebody who has the more covert brand, a lot of these things they might know about themselves, but they're not comfortable with it. They don't like it. It's ego dystonic. This is one of the reasons why people who are more introverted or vulnerable variety of narcissism tend to come to me and other clinicians for help. They're at least willing to acknowledge that they have that difficulty. The implications for anybody in a relationship with somebody who's extremely narcissistic, and of course the implication for anybody who struggles with narcissism in themselves, is if they have that more covert variety, their willingness to acknowledge I am egotistical, I am vain, I am self-focused, that their willingness to acknowledge that is actually a positive indicator. Now, this doesn't mean that if you see that combination that things are all wonderful and it's all going to turn around in a relationship with someone who's narcissistic. As I always say, they have to do the work. But what it does mean is you're much more likely to run into that combination of seeing oneself as narcissistic and thinking it's actually a good thing. It's called valorizing the traits or seeing them as valuable. So if you're with somebody who has that more outgoing, chest-thumping, braggadocious type of narcissism, and you're wondering, are they willing to acknowledge it? Are they willing to admit it? The answer is most likely yes. But again, they don't see it as a bad thing. And that's why this is also called oblivious narcissism, because they don't often reflect or have the awareness that this is something that needs to change. So I hope you found that helpful. If you do, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sharing more.